Hi everyone, and welcome back to the rooftops of Housedeneath. We can see the fearsome looking ballistas there in the distance through the heat haze. Hope you're all having a good day. Here in the UK, we're just starting with a bit of a heat haze, heat wave rather. 30 degrees for several days and bright sunshine, which is most unusual for our little part of the world. And a lot of us are not acclimatized to such things. So it's bottles of water and curtains drawn to make sure the dog stays as cool as I can, that kind of thing, and do most things sort of early morning or late in the evening. I guess we're getting an impression of what it's like on mainland Europe around this time of year. So, hope you're all having fun with the questing. I just thought I'd post a little something to keep you abreast of where I've been at recently. I haven't posted any sort of series because I haven't done anything new, so I didn't want to just go over old ground. But some of the things are worth a mention. I've been looking into the Dampier, the new Dampier race. I've been doing a couple of lives with that, so maybe we could have a little look at the tree while we're here. Broadly speaking, I do like the vampire bite for the heal and subsequent buff it can give you. That's my favourite part. The 3 on all stats for a minute after you've beaten somebody, as well as the fact that the heal is quite strong. It's on a bit of a cooldown, I think 15 seconds, but it does allow some of these classes, the likes of Rogue and Warlock, who don't natively get much of any heal until Epic, to have something, other than messing about with hirelings. The only caveat to it is it has to be a fleshy target, and you have to be in melee range, obviously, to bite someone. So if you're in like an undead or plant heavy quest, like some of the Feywild, that one in the Feywild where he summons all the plant guardians, the only thing you can do then is watch out for one of your friendly neighborhood reapers, because yes, the reapers can be bitten with the vampiric bite for some reason. I don't know whether that's working as intended, but in a quest like something like Jurasco Delira's Tomb, where it's almost all undead, which would not be suitable for this. You just wait for a Reaper to pop up and trigger that. You do have to target the opponent. You can't just press it nearby somebody and hope for it to go off, at least not in my experience. So I do like that. So yes, I've done a monk life and an eldritch knight, and this one, the paladin, the third Dampier life, it's just a bog standard two-handed paladin. So I'm not going to go into this at all because I'm sure you're all familiar with that. But it's a bit of a dress rehearsal in my case because I think it was you, Brian, who mentioned you'd recently done a sword and shield paladin and had some fun with that. There's a decent build in the DDO forums by a chap called Mech Graber. Hope I've pronounced that okay. He goes into quite a lot of detail for a sword and shield build that he's enjoyed, and I figured I'd use that as an inspiration and try and do something similar, because I have never done a melee at the cap, as you know, and I have never done a feature the paladin on the channel, so I thought that might be something nice to try and do. So that's where I'm working towards. So yes, I did a monk stick life, the first time I've done a monk since the pass that they did recently to them, and I was really pleasantly surprised. I did most of it in the henshin tree, and that tree is great now. It's got everything you need. As long as you stay centered, you've got an imbue, you've got your trance, you've got two lovely CC attacks, one ice and one dancing, the latter of which is amazing for Reapers. So I had a lot of fun with that. And the cauldron, I've noticed the cauldron seems to have changed since last time I played a monk. The fifth core of that tree now cuts the cooldown time in half for the cauldron, and you can also step outside the cauldron and still have the buff going, which I don't think you could do before. So yeah, that one was great fun. Eldritch Knight, I think, is an obvious fit for the Dampier because you've got a lot of negative potential. That could be a negative one if you wanted. There's negative heal amp in here, negative amp in there. You can make the bite into negative as well. So that was fine. Not nothing new. We did the Eldritch Knight, didn't we? The Pale Master Eldritch Knight with purple some time ago. It was fun, but nothing nothing new out of here. And then there's this Paladin one now. So let's have a quick look at the tree. All in all, I think I was a bit disappointed. Broadly speaking, there were some things in here that I was hoping would work a bit differently. But let's just go through the nice things. If you're doing anything to do with negative amp at all, so I guess Pale Mastery type thing, you're going to be really going well in here. You've got 20, 40, 60 low-hanging negative amp if you select it that way, as well as the bite that restores negative. And when you take the undead form, which incidentally, I don't know if this happens in Pale Master, but this deselects every time you log out, so you've got to remember to reselect it. It doesn't stay selected. The number of times I logged back in and started my death aura only to find I wasn't being healed because I hadn't retoggled the form. It really would be nice if that could stay on a log out, but such is life. I guess any Warlock players out there will be familiar with that kind of carry on. So yes, some nice cores. The Dampier gets, I think it's a choice of strength, charisma, and con, is it? So for a strength build, not too bad. The one I really wanted to like and couldn't bring myself to was this Rush of Bats, which I thought was a real shame. I was hoping it would work like the Spring Attack and, you know, just be a jump forward without a target selected. But unfortunately, it's got this clunky feel to it where if you don't have a target selected, nothing happens. You just freeze on the spot. And if you do have a target selected, you can sort of rush forward, but it then means you've got to have a pause. You can't just jump forward. You select target, then jump, and that really put a spanner in the works for this for me. There are other enhancements here that further boost up your swarm of bats, but as mentioned, I don't like it for the same reason I don't like this in the Paladin Knight of the Chalice tree. I've tried this lead the charge, and that's exactly the same. You have to have, wait, I think it says here, yeah, rush forward to your selected opponent. So again, select opponent and then charge. You can't just use it as a jump or anything like that. And that to me kind of totally devalues it. I guess other people's mileage might vary, but I just found it too clunky, so I've ended up just sticking with my 3 Chaos Mancer iconic pass lives for the phase step type thing, which you can just trigger anyhow, whether or not you've got a target selected. So yeah, I was sad about the bats thing, just a little bit of a shame. Otherwise, as mentioned, you've got all the negative stuff going on. The form is very nice. I took it upon myself to try the Spinner of Shadows while I was doing that, because it suddenly occurred to me that in undead form, she could neither level drain me nor poison me, so that was her 2 biggest attacks neutralized straight away, and it actually turned out to be a bit of a one-sided fight. She was pretty toothless without those arms, and I took her down, well, I took the quest down quite easily, which is very rare for me in there. So sweet revenge for some of the beatings I've had in there in the past. Otherwise, I'm not a fan either of these single target things. It's one single target, and in this case, you've got to do a thing here to cower the opponent, and then another thing here with the bite. So you've got to fear it first, and then bite it to possibly kill it. And on a single opponent to go through all that faff, not really my scene. There are some other single target charm type things. Again, I would rather kill than charm. So dominate animal and dominate person, not really my thing. So I haven't really been into that. I did very much enjoy the stun DCs on the monk because they're special. Those special ability things, those crowd control things, go off stun. So that was nice to have. But I guess build dependent. So my own verdict on this is lukewarm, I'm afraid. Let's call it niche. But if your favorite class happens to be one, let's say a rogue that doesn't natively get healing, and you're just doing like 1 to 20s or something, then maybe this might be a good fit. You don't have to spend any points whatsoever in the tree to get the vampiric bite. That comes natively. And if you don't do anything in the tree, it stays positive, so you can use it to heal any class. And for a very minimal investment, you can also get this 20 positive healing amp. So that side of it's not bad if you have limited healing capabilities and not too many racial points. Maybe that could be a thing. Moving on, the new expansion, as I'm sure you all know, is just around the corner. I've heard some positive news on that front, that the loot system in there is going to be moving away from the one we saw in Myth Drannor, which I think it's fair to say was pretty universally unpopular with the player base. Back towards something more akin to the Dino, the Isle of Dread thing, where I think if I understand it correctly, it's going to be the same, where you're going to be going around collecting ingredients as you go, and eventually using those ingredients to make and upgrade gear from the pack. So that sounds like a real step forward. I've seen more threads than I care to remember regarding the negatives of the Myth Drannor loot. Broadly speaking, I agree. I'm not a fan at all of this rare loot system, but unlike some others who seem to make it a crusade to acquire this loot to improve their build, to me it's just like, you're never going to have that, so don't even plan for it. Just just get on with doing the game with what you've got, and live with that. I'm talking about things like these rare artifact rings that the majority of us might never even see in the game. So yeah, to me it's just a no-brainer. I mean, to the developers, I can understand. Well, their take on it is, we want you to feel like, great, we've found something really rare here. It's a special day. But the two things about that, first of all, they're all bound to character, these things. So if you do look into something rare, there's no guarantee it's suitable for the character and the build that you're playing. And secondly, you're liable, if you're really hunting those things, to spend hundreds, if not thousands, of shards on chest rerolls and that kind of thing. I have heard people who've done that to acquire these things, and that to me is just an absolute no-no. But of course, it's money in the game's pocket, so from that perspective, I suppose that strategy was successful, although very unpopular with the player base. And maybe moving forward, had they stuck with it, it would have cost them more in future revenue than it would have gained short term on people bulk buying shards, let's say. In other news, I did my first ever Den of Vipers raid the other day. I just did 3 quick raids with my Archer Red, and it just so happened one of them was this den of vipers. The folk were very good. They were explaining bits and pieces when they realised I was new, so that went well. The basic thing I was told was shoot the Hydra in the middle. When it spawns a head, let the head go to a circle, and then shoot the head quickly before it has chance to, is it to go back to the Hydra or something like that. So ultimately we were successful, but there's an NPC, I think, before you go in, where you're supposed to collect these lanterns. From what I can gather, this Den of Vipers is the culmination of the Lanterns in the Mist event that happened on the Cormier server, if I'm right. And me not collecting the lanterns at the start eventually led to my whole screen more or less being covered in this mist. You would normally use these lanterns, activate them to clear the mist, among other things. And so yeah, I finished enshrouded in fog, but still victorious. So I was glad for that. Server move, of course, just around the corner. From what I can gather, the majority of the raid pushers are queuing up to go to Thrain. A lot of other folk from the Canada, US will be ending up on the Shadow Dale, from what I can tell, amongst whom I think my favourite DDO creator, Axel. So I'm sorry I won't be able to get to play on the same server as him. But as a European, I will be going to Moonsea and hoping for the first time with reasonable ping and to get semi-decent performance as well, because the number of times well, you've seen it on here if you've been around here long enough, that things have just ground to a halt with suffocating lag. So I'm not expecting perfection, but a marked improvement is what I'm looking for. I'm also hoping to benefit from, if it's broadly European player base there, then hopefully the times when the raids start being done are going to be more accessible for me, because from what I can gather here on Orion, it's into the small hours of the morning my time when this kind of thing would be more prevalent, and I'm not prepared to sit up and wait for that kind of thing. So I think it's going to be I'm hoping it's going to be a very positive experience for us all, for me too. I will be going over there with one guildmate who's kindly volunteered to organise the ship and the rest of it. So hopefully we don't make too much of a mess of the transfer. I think our plan is to stick it out until the last week or so on Orion. Just make sure, any issues have come to light from the first people to move. And then maybe we'll do a last video, a goodbye Orion video or something like that. Last but not least, I've got a confession to make. I'm sure most of you will know the what's it called? A Prove Your Worth quest in the Three Barrel Cove. Well, I was just in there recently, just before the server shut down this week, and I realised I was going to be very tight for the time limit, and I was getting towards the end, and then the guy asks you at the end, you've got to make a decision about Meeble. Now, apparently in the public rooms, I've been told for expediency's sake, Meeble is always made to walk the plank, but I've always saved him, and this one time, because of the time constraints, I made him walk the plank, and that will remain on my conscience forevermore, I think. I think that's about it for the waffle. Why don't we just show you a quick quest with this paladin? So as mentioned, it's just a bog standard two-handed fighting paladin with most of the stuff in Knight of the Chalice, and we've gone into Vistani for haste boost and a bit more double strike. That's all it is. If any of you are Paladin veterans and have some wisdom to share about the sword and shield type thing, I'm all ears because, as mentioned, that's what I'm building up to. I won't do any kind of recording on the leveling of that because basically it's just going to be a nerfed two-handed build until it reaches the cap, and I'll respec it and do it properly. I do hope to show some content of it doing the end game. One question I do have for you all, you Paladin experts out there, is this thing here. 6 points for the Exalted Smite. Now, it does work nicely, and it's got strike through and what have you, so it can mash more than one opponent. But is that investment worth it? I mean, two on crit threat range and damage, and it's obviously a limited amount of charges as well. I think in the Crusader tree, if I remember right, in Epic, we have means to get those to start recharging, like when we get hit by magic or something like that. But yeah, one of my questions is it worth it or to invest 6 points in there, or does it more depend on the build that you're doing? For the moment, I guess that and my investment here to get the greatsword as a favoured weapon. I'm using the Black Razor at the moment, level 9. That's going quite well. We've got most good things in here as well. I was talking about the monk tree. Well, this is fairly self-contained as well. Aside from the haste boost, which we've had to dip into Vistani for, we've got an imbue here. You do need to have a favoured weapon equipped to use the imbue. So when I was using a great axe earlier, I wasn't getting the imbue benefit. But as soon as we got this this one here for great sword, I was able to benefit from the imbue. Ghost touch as well, nice for reapers. Extra imbue dice in here. I like this remove disease giving greater resto as well. I just benefited from that recently when the Copru decided to muller my charisma, I think it was, in the Isle of Dread. Healing amp as well there, very nice. It's about time I shut up and did a quest here, isn't it? I think we're going to have a go at the ballista one, and thank God I'm doing this on heroic and not epic, because doing this on an epic melee, have any of you ever tried that? I would imagine the ballista to the face potential is real when you're doing it on the melee. Thankfully the ballista don't fire here in heroic, do they? Right, so a few little clickables. Anti-magic missile, awesome. Couple of spells. Righteous command for more melee power, lovely. Greater heroism, we probably don't need the extra saves. Paladin saves, as mentioned in the past, as we saw with Red with that Paladin Inquisitive thing, very good. They get this thing at level 2, don't they? I think it's called Courage of Heaven, is it? Where you add, according to your Paladin level, you get saves boosted up very high. Or is it it's to do with Charisma modifier as well, isn't it? But they do. I would hope that with the Paladin end build, we're going up towards the 100 area for the saves, which would be very tasty, because I think that would give us in most situations no fail except for one.
Outraged hoots and grunts echo through the ravine. This ground is sacred to the island's native wild.
That's the smite going. For those of you who didn't know, the empowered smite there that we took in the tree also gives us, I think it's 10 seconds of, it tells you there, just a little bit more melee power, 5 for 10 seconds. That's regardless of whether you hit or miss, so that's quite nice, because I tend to miss my strikes quite often. Not that the dice has missed, just that I'm not close enough to the opponent to hit with it, because I'm just not very good. That was a nice double smite. Pretty well crushed them both. I'm making use of the cleave as well. I was wondering on a strike through build if I should be taking these cleaves, but they're in the tree, so let's use them. Let's demonstrate the heal for those of you who haven't seen. So I'm going to target this wolf here. I'm going to bite it. There you go. 121 heal. That's with the Reaper nerf. So in elite or lower, that would have been well over 200, I'd suggest. And you can see it's off cooldown already. So I've got a couple of lay on hands here, but I've hardly ever touched them. I've also got unyielding sovereignty for the maximum heal, which I haven't touched either. I've just been going basically with just the odd top up from Cure Moderate. I know I could have got Cure Serious, but I was in the marketplace, so I just put Cure Moderates in. Just that and this Vampire Bite. Let's just show you the... can you see there the minutes worth of +3 on all ability scores just after I did the bite? So that's quite nice. You're helping yourself twice, in essence. Making use of the trip as it's a strength build. Now, a word on trip, if I haven't mentioned already, I don't think I did mention, did I? But we had the conversation with one of you in the comments. It was about the Tabaxi Trailblazer, wasn't it? And one of you mentioned about not shunning some kind of trip attack in the tree, and you were totally right. I had left it alone because I'd had a shocking experience in Epic last time with trip. Just basically nothing worked. There was something really wrong. But this time around, it seems to have been fixed. So I was absolutely hammering away with the trip attack in the Trailblazer, having a great deal of fun with that. And hopefully that means trip in general is alright now in Epic, which is great for any tactic builds out there. Now 4 left. Have I missed something? I hope not. Going a bit heavy on the old smites here. I think they do regenerate. Is it 1 every 90 seconds or something like that? Oh, that took a while to do. I've put a point in this little one here, Divine Sacrifice. It's a... You give up, is it a spell point and 5 hit points, and it's got a chance of doing 1 more on the crit multiplier and a bit more standard damage anyway. It's not amazing, but it's something. You can see when you hit with it because you do a bit more light damage. We've got a light imbue, but there'll be a second row of light damage, like we could see there, two sets of light damage. And there as well. 3, 2... No, I think I've done it all right. Now, the one thing I haven't done, which I should have done, would be to put the a better ranged weapon on, so I didn't have to run across this next section. I don't think I mentioned this either. I've not done a recording for a while, have I? I finally found... I've done at least 2 videos looking for that damn Snow Star Shuriken in the Sorodusk chain. I finally found it. And the appeal of it is it's got a ridiculously wide critical threat range. I think the default for a Shuriken is 20. Only critting on a 20. Well, this thing crits on a 16 to 20 for some reason. So, well worth just having for situations like this where you want to just selectively take something down without really getting involved.
blood tides
So
no
note to
longer
self to
menace
swap it
passing
in
ships
after
with
we've
their
done this.
siege weapons.
I was just pleased to find it. Now, last time around I unlocked this as an Eldritch Knight. I was trying to do the same, but I don't think a Paladin would get very far with that. Yeah, any time there's a crown, I tend to get busy with the smites. You can see we had 3, we've regenerated to 5 now, so they do come back slowly. And I think if you've got a few of them left over at the end like we have here, that's the time to start unloading on like the end boss.
Grim is dead, leaving you to ponder the meaning of his final words. With the dimensional anchor shattered,
Okay,
housed beneath
let's
wizards
go and
can now
acquire
safely
our loot.
support troops onto the island.
Oh, mullered by the trap as well. I tell you what I'm gonna do, just in case you don't believe me, I'm gonna show you the snow star before we go. I was stupidly delighted. I haven't got a build in mind for using it. I think if I was to do a thrower, I would do it on my ranged character Red, and I would also probably level it as a stick build, because leveling a thrower sounds painful. But just for those odd little situations where a throwing weapon is needed. Sorry about all this, Brian. You're going to have to live with it, mate. If only you knew it's 10 times worse with the impending transfer. My guildmate and I have been busily emptying the guild chests, because I don't think those can come with us, can they? So we've been sort of reorganizing. It's actually had some benefits, because we've got rid of a lot of the rubbish, and we are sort of reorganizing how we store things and what we store to make the things more useful in general, the spaces. So yeah, look at that. There's no slot for an augment, unfortunately, but 16 to 20. That's crazy compared to the default, which I think we saw. Let's just bring that back. I think we can see here. Oh, that's a 19. No, that's got keen on it. So the default is 20. I guess that one's a 20, is it? Yeah. So I don't quite know what's been going on there, why that one is so high, but that's just ridiculous. So very happy to have it. I think that's about it for today. Thank you very much as always for looking. Happy questing. And I'll be back at least once before I transfer off of Orion. So I will speak to you soon. Take care.